This is the story of a life-changing student outreach program on the campus of Clemson University in Clemson, South Carolina. This 24,000-student campus near the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains is famed for its national championship-winning football team, the Clemson Fighting Tigers. But there has been a quieter story unfolding here for the last 17 years, a fight for educational equity for some rural South Carolina students who are often left behind.
We're really trying to change the college-going culture in these areas on the I-95 corridor.
These areas are rural towns, often turned upside down financially, once thriving businesses now blighted and boarded up, store windows empty, sign after sign of business progress stopped in its tracks. So how did small South Carolina towns like Allendale, towns that tourists used to visit on the way to the Atlantic Ocean beaches, fall off of the economic rails? Job loss, for one.
When I-95 was built, people started using 95.
And they stopped traveling through rural towns, stopped pouring tourism dollars into area businesses.
That has never recuperated. And so we haven't found another industry to take that over.
Industries such as textile mills and tobacco farms close too. And as jobs leave, so do people. The rural town of Allendale is one of many with a shrinking population and a shrinking school system. A primary school here no longer resounds with the voices of children. It sits shuttered in a barren field of dreams. No one comes. And some of the remaining schools are aging and crumbling with scarce resources to fix them.
And it goes back decades. It goes back to before integration. Some of our districts have never integrated, and so they've never gotten the resources that they need. The I-95 corridor is where a lot of people of color, a lot of black people live in this state. That is where the lack of resources are in this state. So if you combine those two things, that is racist. Now, is poverty an issue? Yes, poverty is definitely an issue, but poverty is also tied to race.
Some call the neglect of South Carolina's poorest schools the corridor of shame, a stain on the state's image, not the schools. They say it robs rural students of their potential, leaving many unprepared for college.
So you have some kind of core issues or concerns to look at within your community.
Clemson University launched an initiative to help rural high school students nearly 2 decades ago, starting a nonprofit called Emerging Scholars to prepare them for college and excite them. The program hosts summer sessions for the high school students at Clemson and after-school programs at their schools during the school year.
So what problems does she face?
Amber Lang, Clemson's Director of College Preparation and Outreach, also leads Emerging Scholars.
When you are raised in poverty and that's all you know, it is just really hard to get out of that mindset. We're trying to teach them what their opportunities are so they can get out of that cycle.
At Clemson, these emerging scholars learn about academic prep and college prep, leadership skills, how to apply for college, and more.
Look up the implications of each of those policies and laws.
Jason Combs, the Associate Director of Emerging Scholars, helps teach and run summer sessions and was once an emerging scholar himself. He attended Allendale County Schools and witnessed the educational inequities.
So there was a lot of dilapidated physical structures in the school, but that didn't really take away from the pride that the students have in the school, the pride that the families have in the school. I'm very proud of where I came from and very proud of my family.
But Jason somberly recalls his school district's teacher shortages, high teacher turnover, limited curriculum, and the impact on children.
It doesn't show that they should want to go to college or that education should be at the forefront of their lives. It means something to me when I can see students from well-affiliated or well-funded schools getting the SAT and ACT prep they need, getting the college counselors in their schools. And I see the students from my high school, and they didn't have that. We did not have that, but we're still having to compete with those students who had some of those resources, and it is heartbreaking.
More than 20 years ago, some rural school districts sued the state, asking for more equitable funding to maintain schools. 5 years ago, the pendulum swung in favor of the schools. The South Carolina Supreme Court ruled that state government violated the Constitution, failing to provide poor rural students with a quality education. The Supreme Court set goals for the state, ordering it to work with the schools to solve problems. And in recent years, the state government has gotten on track, investing millions in schools and taking control of a few districts with poor academic records, including Allendale County.
But for the ones that you're not familiar with, look more into it and kind of figure out like the implications that it's had on us.
But the work at Clemson has been steadfast, unmovable, empowering Jason's success as he empowers other emerging scholars. Jason graduated from Clemson with a full-ride scholarship in political science, and he has returned as a grad student, getting a master's degree. But Jason isn't the only emerging scholar success story from the town of Allendale. These brothers, Jalen and Jerome Polite, are following the same path.
Emerging scholars changed my community a lot. So really it's changing like the younger minds.
I know in the public, you guys were
Jerome is heading into his junior year at Clemson after taking emerging scholars programs in high school. He now mentors current emerging scholars in the summer, including his brother Jalen, who is still in high school but determined to go to college.
Now I see if you want to do something in life, it helps a lot. It makes it easier.
And good things often come in threes. There is one more Polite brother, Justin, the middle son, who was also an emerging scholar in high school.
That really opened up my mind to college.
Justin will soon be a college sophomore at Clemson University. He's in Allendale with his parents on this day for a summer job. And this is a family of Clemson fans ever since the boys were little. Pictures tell the story.
So this was y'all first trip to Clemson. That's you, Justin, and then Jalen and Jerome.
The boys visited the campus as kids. They rooted on the Clemson Tigers, and they felt a mascot kinship with their own football team, the Allendale Tigers. Clemson is their dream college, especially now that two of the Polites are students there.
It was everything I hoped it would be.
Natasha and Jerome Polite gave their boys two goals for their future, college or the military. All three of their sons joined the junior ROTC in high school, but they had their sights set on a 4-year degree.
To me, the college education is everything. I've told them since they were young, what college do you want to go to? So I kind of try to make it exciting that this is a goal, this is something that everybody does.
Latasha's love for learning is personal. She has won local and state awards as an elementary school teacher in Allendale, and she prepped her kids for success.
So even though we were like A+ students, we still had to go to summer school. And she would make us like read books or like do work a grade ahead of us.
The Polites taught their children persistence, resilience, and hard work despite deficiencies in resources in Allendale schools.
I understand that we don't have what everybody else has, but I want my children to succeed in spite of. So I tell them, and they see these negative things on the news, and I said, so what are we going to do to make it different? So we don't let them use those things as crutches.
No matter what was going on around my kids, they stayed focused. I made sure, and my wife made sure that they stayed focused.
So focused that emerging scholars gave Jerome a full-ride scholarship to Clemson. And a year later, the program did the same for Justin. Their hard-working parents, a teacher and a truck driver, breathed a sigh of relief, no longer worried about how to pay for their son's dreams.
That was a blessing, financial blessing. It took a burden off of us.
I was just thanking God. I no longer had to worry about their future, and I knew that they were going to be okay.
Emerging Scholars has changed their sons' lives.
They know my children personally. So it's like an extended family. That's just how much it means to me. And that to me is everything, I trust them with my children, and that's like my life.
Clemson University has story after story of success from the nearly 900 students it has served through emerging scholars over the years. It opens doors to a future some students never knew existed, and it's building more diverse campuses. Some students go to Clemson, some to other places, but they are all going places.
None of them have dropped out of high school. And some of our high schools, have 30% dropout rates. And 90% of our students are either in college or the military, their first year out of high school.
And some will return to the rural towns that shaped them to inspire others to follow in their footsteps and to contribute to their community.
You could never forget where you came from. And I feel like everything that I'm doing now would be pointless if I just go out and just never turn back around and look at Allendale or try to help them out.
Justin, a business management major, plans to contribute to the local economy of Allendale, building a business in the area and building new dreams in his hometown to help replace the broken ones.